Imagine a world without gravity. What if, one day, Earth's gravity just vanished? It's a concept that feels straight out of a sci-fi movie, but if it really happened, life as we know it would be turned completely upside down, literally. From the ground beneath our feet to the sky above, nothing would remain the same. In today's video, we're going to explore what would happen if Earth's gravity disappeared, step by step. How would it affect our bodies, our environment, and everything around us? And could life survive in a world without gravity? What is gravity, and why do we need it? Before we dive into the consequences, let's first understand what gravity actually is. Gravity is the force that pulls objects toward the center of the Earth, or toward any massive object. It's what keeps our feet on the ground, the moon orbiting the Earth, and the Earth orbiting the sun. Without gravity, the universe as we know it would fall apart. For life on Earth, gravity is essential. It affects everything from how we walk and run to how our atmosphere stays intact. Without it, the basic processes that support life would stop functioning almost immediately. So, if Earth's gravity disappeared, it wouldn't just be an inconvenience, it would be a catastrophe. Immediate impacts on the human body. Let's start by imagining the immediate effects on your body. Right now, gravity pulls you down toward the ground, giving you weight. The moment gravity disappears, you wouldn't be able to stay grounded. You'd float into the air along with everything else around you. But that's just the beginning of your problems. Without gravity, your body would begin to experience rapid changes. On Earth, gravity helps regulate our circulation by keeping blood flowing normally. Without it, blood and other fluids would start to pool in your head and upper body. This would cause your face to swell, and over time it would lead to headaches and impaired vision, just like astronauts experience in zero-gravity environments. Over time, the lack of gravity would cause your muscles and bones to weaken dramatically. On Earth, our bodies are constantly working against gravity, which helps keep our muscles strong and our bones dense. In space, or in a world without gravity, muscles would atrophy, and bones would lose their density, putting you at risk for serious health problems. The environment. Earth without an atmosphere. The immediate effects wouldn't just be felt in your body. Earth's entire environment would start to break down. Gravity is what holds our atmosphere in place, creating the protective bubble of air that we breathe. Without gravity, this atmosphere would drift off into space. Without air, oxygen levels would plummet and we'd no longer be able to breathe. The temperatures on Earth would also become extreme. Without the atmosphere to trap the heat, the planet would experience severe temperature fluctuations. During the day, it could become unbearably hot, while at night, it would become freezing cold. And that's not all. Without the protective layer of the atmosphere, Earth would be exposed to the full force of cosmic radiation and solar winds. This would destroy any chance of life surviving on the surface, as the radiation would be lethal to all living organisms. Objects and structures on Earth. If gravity disappears, every object on Earth would be affected. Let's start with the simplest things: your phone, your furniture, the cars on the street. These objects, like you, would begin floating as soon as gravity is gone. There'd be no friction to keep things in place, so everything would drift aimlessly into the air. Buildings, bridges, and other structures wouldn't fare any better. Gravity is what keeps them anchored to the ground, and without it, they would no longer be stable. Tall structures could collapse or drift apart, and infrastructure would quickly become useless. Even the oceans would be affected. The water would no longer be held down by gravity and would rise into the atmosphere, forming giant floating masses of water that could eventually dissipate into space. The Earth's rivers, lakes, and seas would vanish without gravity to hold them in place. Earth's orbit in the solar system. Now, let's zoom out to the larger picture. If Earth's gravity disappeared, our planet's entire orbit would be affected. Right now, gravity is what keeps Earth orbiting the sun. Without gravity, Earth would no longer stay in its path around the sun. Instead, it would fly off into space in a straight line, no longer bound by the sun's gravitational pull. The same would happen to the moon. The moon orbits Earth because of the gravitational pull between the two bodies. Without that pull, the moon would drift away into space, and Earth would lose its only natural satellite. This would have a huge impact on the tides and the balance of Earth's ecosystems, which depend on the gravitational relationship between the Earth and the Moon. But it wouldn't stop there. The entire solar system would begin to unravel. Without the gravitational pull of the sun, planets would drift off into space. The balance that holds our solar system together would be destroyed, leading to chaos at a cosmic level. Space travel and affected satellites. Gravity isn't just important for keeping things on Earth, it also plays a key role in space travel. Right now, rockets use Earth's gravity to launch into space, slingshotting themselves out of the atmosphere, but without gravity, space travel as we know it would change entirely. For one, launching spacecraft would be a completely different process. Without gravity pulling on the craft, it would be much easier to launch, but controlling it in the vacuum of space without gravitational forces would be difficult. Satellite orbits would also be disrupted. Earth's artificial satellites, which rely on gravity to stay in orbit, would be lost, disrupting communication, navigation, and surveillance systems. The impact on nature and animals. Without gravity, animals would also struggle to survive. Many species have evolved to live in a world where gravity plays a fundamental role in their behavior. Birds, for example, rely on gravity for flight, using the push and pull of the air to stay aloft. Without gravity, their entire way of navigating would be thrown off. In the ocean, marine animals would be affected as well. Fish use buoyancy and gravity to swim, and without it, they'd struggle to move throughout the water. Over time, the ecosystems that rely on the predictable forces of gravity would collapse. Plants, too, would suffer. On Earth, gravity helps plants grow upright, and without it, their ability to anchor themselves and reach for sunlight would be severely impacted. Theoretical physics and gravity's importance. The disappearance of gravity would pose serious questions for physics. Gravity is one of the 4 fundamental forces of the universe, and without it, much of what we know about the physical world would no longer make sense. Einstein's theory of general relativity, for example, is based on the understanding of gravity as a curvature of space-time. If gravity disappeared, it would suggest that some unknown and extraordinary event had occurred, something that would force us to rethink everything we know about the universe. Scientists would be left scrambling to figure out how and why such an event could happen, and what it means for the future of space, time, and matter itself. Can life survive without gravity? Ultimately, the big question is, could life survive without gravity? The short answer is no, not in the way we know it. The disappearance of gravity would lead to the collapse of ecosystems, the breakdown of human bodies, and the destruction of Earth's environment. Without gravity to hold everything in place, life would be unsustainable. However, if humanity had enough time to prepare, we might develop technology that could help us adapt to a zero-gravity world. We might create artificial gravity in controlled environments, using advanced science to simulate the effects of gravity in space stations or underground colonies. But these solutions would only work for small groups of people, and they would be extremely difficult to maintain over the long term. So, what would happen if Earth's gravity disappeared? The short answer is that life as we know it would end. From our bodies to our environment to the solar system itself, gravity is the force that holds everything together. Without it, everything would unravel in ways we can't even fully predict. And while the idea of a gravity-free world is fascinating to think about, it's a reminder of how crucial this invisible force to the survival of all life on Earth. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the science of gravity and its importance, be sure to like and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. What other science mysteries or what-if questions would you like us to explore? Let us know in the comments below.